League Championship Series, where we're looking at the last match of the week here in Europe between Roccat and G2 Esports. Roccat won yesterday, and a lot was to do with, the Kog'Maw. They were playing versus Splice. Tabs showing up, being able to do well. Cabochard, what have been your impressions of Roccat so far? Of course, we have Betsy in there as well, who you used to play with.
Yeah, I think that overall they're playing like quite well the early game, but most of the time they're just like getting comeback on or something, and then they just throw, I guess. So yeah, yesterday they played pretty good. The player on the Kog'Maw comp, they had a composition against them that was just straight up diving in, and they just had to defend. So it was like really simple, I guess.
Simple, though. I mean, Tabs played quite well.
Yeah, I mean, he did a good job closing his eyes late game. No, he had a good game. He had a good game. Like, Tabs is a guy we were looking at because he replaced Sapphire, who didn't do too well on Roccat, and he kind of had to step in and be a bit of a veteran and like calm everyone down. And he had to be more of a carry to help Betsy as well, because Betsy is a guy who's been doing extremely well. We talk about it probably every single week.
You do.
But I do very often. I think Betsy is a great player right now. Cabochard, do you agree?
Sure.
Good.
All right.
I mean, I'm glad we all agree here.
The stats.
Yeah, I think he's playing better than what he was playing Gambit. Like he has more resources as well, so like something is linked, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see if they can do something here though, because they are against G2. Yesterday, G2. Oh, what a heartbreaking loss. They lost against Fnatic, although they were 5,000 gold up at the 10 or 15 minute mark, and then they gave it all out of hands. And it's something that's coming back that we've seen from them. They tend to be ahead in the early game, very much ahead, but then they squander it in the mid to late game. That recklessness, that communication issues, it's still not fixed.
Yeah, and overconfidence. Like, as a team, they just stopped playing the map correctly, like saying we don't need to buy wards anymore, we don't need to clear Baron pits, we just start the Baron. And then like they lost the game, honestly, at that Baron where Fnatic made a great play, and then the following team fight, they were just like randomly diving in the middle of the lane, out in the open, no flanking or anything. So everything they do well the first like 15, 20 minutes, it's weird, but it's like when they get far enough ahead, it seems like as a team they maybe get so confident, they're like, hey, we can just like take one more team fight and we win. And then it starts going wrong because you don't set it up properly, and then you lose games like the one yesterday, which you shouldn't lose.
Why do you think it is?
Yeah, I think like there is something with overconfidence. Like, sorry, the game was they were really ahead. Lucian was like level 7 against the Curl Kog'Maw level 4 or something. So maybe in the head they were just like, oh, like whatever we do, this game is gonna be won. We just like we're not gonna follow the plan we should have done if we're like 2k ahead. So we just go, and then they get come back against the Kog'Maw, and it's just over. In
general, do you think the really good run by G2 in the beginning of the split was maybe because the other teams, like Cyanide said, weren't on point yet? And how do you see them evolving?
Not entirely. I think, yeah, like there is something like they won't be as dominant. I think they were 7-1 or something, and then yeah, we won. They lost yesterday. We'll see today what they do. But they're still a good team overall, and they have really good players, so I don't expect them to go so down either.
All right, and on paper, they are supposed to win this game versus Roccat. The players actually are ready, so we're going to kick it over to the caster desk.
All the things are ready. Thanks, Shocks.
Are we things? I feel so objectified right now.
Are you objectified?
The casters are ready, and so are the teams.
There you go. That's the way to do it, Shocks.
Please.
Now, the teams are ready to load up on the Rift, and so is the crowd. Let's see who's queuing up. It's Roccat on the blue side. Of course, that means we've got Freddy122, Airwax, Betsy, Tabs, Extinct, and their coach, Fresh.
Yep, that's Roccat on the blue side. On the other side, however, we have G2 coming out swinging this split so far. A little bit regression lately, but that's allowed. Top lane Keek is Jungle Trick, mid lane Perks, Emperor and Hybrid, the dynamic duo in the bot lane, Coach Youngbuck.
Yes, indeed. And this team, up until yesterday, they'd only lost 2 games. Still setting them a little bit further back in the standings, but they're going to not try to disrespect their opponents today. They're going to not try to style too much. And I feel like any way you roll the dice here, they are heavily, heavily favored against Roccat.
Yes and no, but if you look into what Roccat has been doing well, it's been the early game.
That's true.
It's been finding some of these skirmishes and these outplays. It's the mid game where they falter. Well, G2 got a lot of the leads by doing what? By playing aggressive in the early to mid game. So actually, there is a universe in which Roccat somehow goes even in the mid game. G2 falter again in the mid game, and this game goes quite long.
We've seen a trend.
And somebody wins in the end, which is not Fnatic, this split.
Well, we will see if that ends up being the case. If your words are truly prophetic, as the picks and bans have started up in Italy, Braum taking away Kog'Maw, Corki banned out for G2. They do not want to relive the nightmare that was Reckless yesterday.
Damn, they banned Italy. That would make it very easy for us to predict picks and bans. First pick Italy into Lucian Alistar.
We have to work a little harder this time.
This time we actually need to use our brains, sadly enough. Gangplank gets taken off the board. Yeah, it hurts.
All right, so the Gangplank's off the board. Let's see if G2 decide to ban another AD carry. I was going to say I doubt it, but no, I was right.
No, what you wanted to say is like you think they're going to ban Kalista.
I'm learning.
That's when you bend your words. When you're not finished talking, you're just like, yeah, I was about to say, but obviously they beat me to the punch. Kalista has to be a ban here. Emperor actually banning his own Kalista against Tabs, who hasn't done that well on her.
Do you think this merits the Lucian first pick, in all honesty, to take that also away from Emperor?
I mean, let's see what's open first before we say yes and then get surprised. Alistar is open here as one of the power picks. Poppy used to be one of the early contested picks, but has fallen off a little bit. I mean, I think Alistar, if we're in LCK right here, I feel like we see Alistar first. Lucian definitely worth picking, because I think it's such a comfort champion for Tabs too, and you take it away from Emperor and force him to maybe play Caitlyn.
The Malphite first pickup for Freddy. Interesting.
It's worth debating because both teams kind of starve their top laner. I feel like by Roccat it is almost a given. By G2 it's a choice. They really put Kikis on these tanks that he can then add utility in a team fight. So Malphite is one of these champions that have been very prevalent for G2, but that Malphite pick comes at a great cost.
Yeah, instantly G2 respond. They pick up the Alistar Lucian lane, so Emperor will have some comfortability for himself. Roccat, what do they answer with? Another thing worth noting, the Lulu is still available, but you know, if you want to do like the Caitlyn comp that we saw Splice doing last time, I don't really think that screams Roccat, in all honesty.
I mean, Betsy's a good Lulu player, by all means.
True.
It's not a straight up carry there, but Tabs looking to go for the Ezreal hover here. They're talking about it. A lot of options. Look at G2. The bot lane, check. Kikis is likely going on a tank. They'll have counter pick for Perks in the mid lane, and then we just want to see a farm jungle. There's a good choice, or a good chance that we see another Graves here on the jungler Trick to really start that farm-heavy style that he likes to play and outpace. Nidalee's off the board, so we have a very quick clear here on the jungle Graves.
Yeah, the Ezreal coming in as well. That's picked up for Tabs.
With the Bard.
With the Bard as well, it's going to be
I like that lane.
a lane of a lot of skill shots.
There's actually some ultra good cheese you can do.
Tell me about it.
Creative gameplay. No, we'll see if we get it the game depending on the lane. But Bard Ezreal has one of the strongest level 1 trades in the game. Like, it's so hard to deal with if they just raw all in you level 1 behind the creeps. You kind of have to back off and you will lose experience. But it's such a risky approach.
All right, the Lee Sin's taken for Trick, and now we have a Nautilus as well. So we predicted this for Kikis. Pretty much a very likely scenario. We will probably see the Banner and Zerat Portal pushing as well, see if he can do that against Freddy. But for Trick, we've only seen one Lee Sin game on him in this split since the Nidalee was banned away. I'm wondering what he would fall onto. And Graves was available as well, so kind of surprising he went for that.
Yeah, kind of wants a flank here, a kick engage potential. Roccat looking for something where Airwax can assist Betsy in the mid lane. Rek'Sai is decent jungler here. Does well until he's in, because every time he dashes in, you can just interrupt, you know, in some of the duels. Just auto-proc that passive knockup.
I still like to see him go for a little bit more damage. We talked about Airwax being that like solo QS jungler. He was doing quite well on the Kindred pickup, especially against Fnatic, but that was mostly because they weren't warding down bottom, just continually finding ways to kill him. But it looks like they want the utility, they want that movement around the map, and the Rek'Sai is the answer. They also lock in the Victor for Betsy. Oh wait, no!
But
At
wait,
the last second,
there's more.
they go back to Jungle Rumble.
I have to echo what you were saying there, Pyro. I think you're right on the money. They needed some more damage, because if they just went with Ezreal and Victor, both scaling late game damage dealer, as a team where your strength and your niche is the early game kind of spike against a team as aggressive as G2, I think that would have been the wrong decision. Instead, they go for Rumble in the jungle, which has a really good clear speed. Has some creative gank paths too, where they can maybe surprise Perks if he's not used to it. Perks is playing Lissandra though, so the Claw is really good to get out of jungle ganks, because Rumble is really good at slowing you down. We'll see if you have like a blink, a lot harder to actually die.
Yeah, one caveat of this composition though, they have a heavy amount of magic damage, and they're going to need to get that Ezreal likely going blue build to scale up super late for it to be super effective. This is a game where you stack MR if you're G2.
Oh, definitely so. Really good point there. Look at, yeah, the amount of magic damage overall. But they also have the makings of a fantastic Wombo combo though. Imagine a world where Bard lands like a 4-man ultimate into a double stun, Malphite knockup, Rumble on the top, Victor, and then they all flash out and kill you. But there is so much Wombo combo potential here. On the side of G2, there's more like individual pick-off. One guy gets kicked in, Lissandra ultied, or Nautilus just gets the combo off on one guy pick-off. They have not as much AoE damage, but Roccat, they can just kill an entire team in just like 2 seconds.
If they're able to hold on in that early game, we know they're able to play that quite well. They could have some serious power in their house. Now, we'll see if you think that Roccat can come out with a win over G2. Send those predictions at LOL Esports is, of course, the place. Hashtag ROC win or hashtag G2 win. It's the last game in Europe for week number 6. Let's hear y'all make some noise as we get ready to load up onto the Rift for Roccat and G2 Esports. They still love you, Crepo.
What do you mean still? That implies that the love was lost at one point.
No, it implies it's still going.
Actually,
I said they
you're
love
actually
you
right.
again.
I'm wrong. I don't
okay.
even. Do I even? That's when you call me out and you
I'm
tutor me in
usually
English.
the wrong one, so this time I get to turn the tables on you.
Ah, how does it feel?
Feels pretty good.
Yeah. Let's turn those tables back around.
Hold on, I still want it this side. All right, let's take a look at how they're starting this game off. This line of scrimmage, nothing too out of the ordinary. You do see Extinct going a little bit further into his own jungle here.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we could just start talking matchups then, when the
Yeah.
teams layer out like that. Ezreal Bard have a range advantage. In my honest amateur opinion, Bards never start a camp. And I've probably told every single LCS player this. So hopefully, because they're tired. Whenever we go out, we're at a bar, I'm like, do you have a moment to talk about a Lord and Savior Bard? And I tell them, so there's a good chance where we see Tabs and Extinct delayed invade, stop the camp on Emperor, move behind the creeps, and do that level 1 trade. If that happens, I'm a happy man. Let's see if it does.
keep our eyes on that one, Extinct. Rocking that Snow Day skin as well. Actually, gotta go back to the. I know this is total diversion. I want to look at the.
Yeah, Rumble in the jungle.
Galaxy, no Rumble in the jungle. One of these days it will be different. But all right, let's take a look at our summoners as well. Nothing too out of the ordinary. We do see once again the Nautilus.
Yeah, perhaps that is the way to play it.
Thunderbolts.
Perhaps I was wrong about Strength of the Aegis, and they just want the early trade potential. Nautilus should win that matchup. Here we go. Emperor took the early hits on the Gromp. Tabs and Extinct ran out of wards, so they have to manually check the Gromp. They will be late to lane, so the cheese won't work now.
It's just too bad.
Ooh,
Oh, he's got Chime though.
he's going Chime. Chime
There we
on.
go.
So they didn't had a ward available to kind of check over the wall, so they lose a lot of momentum here in terms of the push. That's actually crucial for this matchup because obviously Hybrid's a melee support. He can't really assist in that lane push. The first Q misses, so a lot of zone control lost here. G2 may actually be able to reach level 2 first. That's very big in this matchup. It may not seem like it, but this lane could look very, very brutal if Roccat managed to push, but Emperor and Hybrid get the edge.
This is just how League of Legends has really been trending. These butterfly effect, the small things that affect so largely even outside of the laning phase. Emperor and Hybrid, very strong duo lane. Work together. Their synergy just instantly clicked.
They're so self-sufficient. It's really impressive how they can play losing matchups and go even in CS almost every single game. They find a way to make it work. Kikis, on the other hand, also like Kikis plays well on an island, and that allows Trick to just farm a lot and then enable Perks if Perks isn't already killing the enemy. So when things go well for G2, they just go really well.
Yeah. You know, on the flip side, too, you look at Tabs and Extinct. I mean, neither of these players were what Roccat started the split with. Saphir obviously was benched, moved away. They got Tabs, and Extinct had to come in for Edwards. So, you know, they've not had as much time to adjust together. And this is a difficult lane to play together, I feel like.
Yeah, it just requires some synergy, but also you have to wonder why you would put an old veteran top laner in the support position
It's true as well.
with long-term goals in mind, because Extinct hasn't really impressed for me. He has been very lackluster overall. So I need to see if he can make this Bard. If there's one game where he can win my love back, it's this one. It's on a Bard game.
Yeah, we'll have to keep tabs on him. And speaking of tabs, trying to keep pace on the CS here versus Emperor and Hybrid, but they've kind of agreed to a non-aggression pact for the time being. It is hard to really harass Ezreal as much.
This lane, especially with the introduction of a lot of TPs here in the high-level play, that can actually go down instead of just existing, this lane becomes a sustain lane. Alistar healed, Bard heals, we both agreed to farm, so you only really have that window level 1 where you can really get a distinct advantage in lane. Other than that, unless Alistar Q flashes, you're not going to see any aggression, so we can start focusing on mid lane, because that was an interesting interaction where Perks pushed out early, got low on mana, then used teleport to get a control advantage, and that's what you need. You want the mid prio so your jungler can play aggressive.
We didn't really talk as much about the Lissandra pick. There was just so much to go over in the pick and ban elsewise, since that was the last one chosen. We're seeing this a little bit more and more here in Europe, with Lissandra kind of being like, oh, let's kind of wrap up our comp and put a bow on it. Take a look at that bottom lane, though. Hybrid gets really stunned up. That is a lot of damage. He does heal it back up, but still, dangerous trade.
That's actually, Ezreal is a little bit better now into Alistar, because the new combo Hang on, Extinct taking a lot of minion damage.
Oh yeah, ooh, very, very low on it. Just turns on a dime in that bottom lane.
Hybrid walked up indicating that he wants to combo, and the new Alistar combo is actually slightly slower than the one you could pull off earlier. So it gives you a little bit more time to shift out of. The other person needs a little more time here. It's Freddy though, getting ganged by Trick.
Yeah, oh, he's able to flash away, but the Sonic Wave connects. Not going to go in on that one. Trick knows better than that, and Freddy gets away at the cost of a summoner spell. Meanwhile, the Rumble going through the jungle on the other side while Trick was away. He'll be able to charbroil himself up some jungle camps, and free push as well for Perks in the meantime.
Yeah, with the help of the Scuttle Crab, the bot lane here on the red side can actually ward in aggressively and just push. It's really crucial to have that Scuttle Crab. We saw Trick claim it earlier, and it allowed Emperor and Hybrid to place their ward in the brush deeper in the tri-brush right there instead of just next to the lane, because they were safe for river ganks against the jungle without a gap closer. Airwax though, but they vision faded, and now he's here.
He's got the one, didn't get the two. Hybrid takes a little bit more poke from Extinct, so Airwax doesn't have to give up too much here just to be able to poke out this bottom side. Lo and behold, Tabs has got himself a CS advantage.
Yeah, but that's something Trick does a lot. Airwax looking to just come push in this wave, and they want to reset the wave. But that's something that he does a lot. Trick, he helps his lane by getting Scuttle Crabs. Then they can move their ward line up a little bit, put them safe from any ganks, and Trick just keep farming until he finds an opening somewhere. Yeah. Look at him, level 5 right now, finish off the Gromp. Even on CS with Airx though, because Rumble just has such a fantastic clear speed too.
Yeah, that early Scuttle Crab clear, that was pretty much the one thing we saw last year really being popularized by Reignover when he was on Fnatic, and it became sort of standard affair after a while. But Trick, you know, I mean, he's definitely got a one-up over Airwax in this case.
Yeah, in terms of Scuttle pressure he does, he's falling slightly behind in farm though, because he's in the empty jungle. Airwax, not quite sure where he's going. He ran into River, no Scuttle Crab there, so he's running back right now. He is level 6, but Perks is playing to the correct side. Perks has his vision is backed, like he's backed up by vision, a pink ward in the brush, so he's playing to his safe side. Combine that with Claw, it's almost impossible to gank him because nobody is bringing hard CC to the table in that mid-jungle combination here.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how the bottom lane was turned into a sustain one. The top lane is by default a sustain lane, even with the extra damage that Kikis is bringing. Freddy not able to trade quite as effectively, and because of that mid lane safety of the Lissandra, this could be a very prolonged laning phase.
Yeah, the only lane that's really gankable is that top lane. Even though they're sustained 1v1 and slow damage output, they have CC, and they enable their junglers to come in.
True.
Rumble plus Malphite have a lot of damage combined to take down Nautilus. Take a while. The only answer you can do in a very stale, can't gank, can't do anything type of situation, that's when you peel your support away, combine with your jungle, and you go in for deep vision. Maybe we can see some of these support jungle combinations show their synergy this match.
And one thing worth noting too is as G2 gets further and further into this game, the double TP will come in very handy for them if they can get the instant target lockdown, send out the Nautilus ultimate and the Lissandra ultimate, should be able to lock down somebody like Betsy. He's got the cleanse, but he can only use it once, right? He's got to hold it until they both land on him, or they can try to lock down Tab.
Definitely agree.
Take him out of the fight.
If Perks keeps doing what he's doing right now, he has the push advantage in mid, which means Betsy can't chase. They could easily set up a dive up, maybe even on this wave already. Look at it. Kikis is diving, they're zone calling, they don't want this wave to be cleared. They're looking for a dive player in the bot lane.
Yeah, they know it, and now Airwax not able to get hit by that Sonic Wave. It was going to be Trick looking for that one. Teleport coming in as the Equalizer's thrown down. Gets cancelled at the last second though. He decided he didn't want to take that one. True Shot Barrage comes out. As Tabs hits 6, Trick goes in, gets the kickback onto Airwax, and just like that, it's gonna be first blood over to Emperor.
The play fails, but it gives Airwax a false sense of security. And Bravado, he just simply steps forward, dies with his flash up, so questionable move right there.
Moment of action in this game as 1,000 gold in the difference is allocated G2's way. We'll be right back to the laning phase, of course. Right after this, uninterrupted minion farming.
Yep, farm alarm right now. Freddy, teleport comes up in about under a minute. Let's see if he can balance the scales here, because right now G2 has pressure in the bot lane, pressure in the top lane due to the nature of the matchup, and pressure in the mid lane. And if that Q connects, we're seeing a really big dive here, but re-engage, Emperor dashes out, and at this point, Roccat won out on this play. It's at this exact moment here that Airwax regrets his life decisions. He's like, oh, he missed me, I can keep going. Wait, no, Lee Sin can actually press Q again and kick me in. That is major mistake by Airwax. Not excusable at all.
Yeah, Airwax definitely learning some lessons there. We should hope at the very least. Still trying to keep pace on the minion farm in this game. We're getting close to that 10-minute mark. Still going to be a while before the composition for G2 really comes alive. But for Roccat, you know, they have some serious damage in the late game as well. The blue Ezreal is really going to take a while to get rolling, though. Just on the tier, and of course, his Sheen.
Takes a while to get rolling, but look, the power trough he's in right now is so brutal. He only has one Sheen poke every so often, while Emperor is sitting on a BF with an extra sword already, so trading-wise, he loses out. So he can only just farm, but in farming, he will lose a little bit of HP every wave on that tower, and then eventually G2 can maybe look for a dive. It's so easy to dive somebody who's continuously pushed into his tower.
So with that in mind, what do Roccat really need to do just to make sure they come out of this laning phase with a, not a lead, but much more alive, in the position that they're comfortable with, that they then have had trouble in the mid and late game?
I feel like ROC should group up, push out the lane with the bot lane, get deep vision so they have teleport wards, because otherwise, this is gonna happen. Teleport from Freddy, teleport from Perks comes in here.
Yeah, double tempered fate, but Extinct is still in a whole lot of trouble. Perks is able to come in around the side, claw himself a kill. Now the fast push is on. Miniwave cleared away for just a second, but still they have enough residual damage for G2 to be able to take out that first tower. It's gonna get traded in the top, but that is a slow push
here
compared
in
to
the
what they
mid lane.
had.
Yeah, and there's teleport advantage in terms of Freddy, but obviously he can't react because Keek is just watching him. He has two ways of stopping that teleport, so Freddy can't join the party. That dive was, we both saw it coming from a mile away, but Roccat were unable to predict the enemy movement, the enemy play pattern, and act accordingly. And then, of course, in the end, it is too late.
Yeah, Freddy a little bit preoccupied. He does manage to stop the back of Kikas for a second. Trick is going to go ahead and try to start soloing out this dragon. G2 getting a little bit of extra boost for themselves here. 2 kills to 0. It has been a low-action game with G2 Esports really only looking for small openings that Roccat have left in their bottom side to make things happen.
Yeah, G2 have thrown only a few punches, but they've hit hard. Every single punch carried a lot of weight behind it. Because that 2-kill advantage translated in over 2,000 gold already.
Roccat just trying to play that stall game. I mean, this is a team that has had such a rough ride in the European LCS this split already, only picking up 2 wins, the latest of which yesterday at the hands, or against Splice, I should say. And they just really need to look at trying to stay alive. I mean, this is G2, you could say, is not the team they necessarily need to be, but they're pretty much out of easy opponents. I mean, they've got Origin coming up. Everybody else, well, and Fnatic, everybody else is those top 4 teams.
Yep.
It's such a rough ride for them going forward.
Yeah, definitely so. But if you look at their goals at the start of the season, obviously they're more than happy with the situation. Even if they lose 2 or 3 of those matches, in terms of like early split expectations, they made it comfortably into the playoffs, which is impressive. But look at G2. Earlier we saw them ping on the map, top lane tower. Let's trade it, guys. Open up that map, find an opening, and then they'll likely rotate to the mid lane, see if they can get a dive in here. Because he's flanking. Perks was fake basing to lure in enemy mid laner, perhaps stopping him.
Not going to take the bait.
They pinged out Nautilus, but I don't... Yeah, he walked over a ward, so they know he's there. Both teams trading turrets. This is essentially good for Roccat. If you can trade turrets from behind, you're generally doing a good thing. But G2 add a little bit of a... Yeah, Rift Herald dessert to that main course.
Be able to try and push even more towers with that one. Mid lane should be the next on the menu. All things considered, Perks is pinging that out for the time being, and they do give that buff over to Trick, so immediately turning attention to that mid side. It's undefended for the time being. Betsy's still trying to walk back to lane. This could be a very fast move. They get 2 for 1, but ROC is there to defend now. And they're not going to commit to it.
I mean, just a little bit of damage. Just be careful. Extinct can portal over. Thor is ultimate. Yeah. Just keep looking for teleport wards. At this point in the game, when there's so many teleports available on champions like Nautilus and Malphite, warding and being apprehensive of enemy wards around your flanks is the main thing to keep in mind.
Control has just counted for so much. We talked about it pretty much all day now. I mean, really.
That happens when you get the cast with me.
Yes, yes.
A lot of war talk.
Honestly, I learned so much. I feel like I should be going up in rank, but I just keep throwing games. So maybe.
I mean, I say that. I say that all the time, but then when I play the game, I'm like, you know what? Wards? Nah. Items.
Do you not build Sidestone?
No, I support I do, but when I play off roll.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Support you have to. You can't get away with it. Sadly. You can delay it a little bit for extra damage. Get that
hey, if you start support carrying, you pretty much have it all in your control. We haven't seen too many of those now. As Betsy, he gets locked up for just a second, and Hybrid misses the Pulverize. Equalizer, though, that doesn't miss Chaos. Oh, that's a heaping helping of damage, burning down both Trick and Hybrid.
Here's a collapse, so Keek is coming in.
Oh, sends up that big ultimate, and he looks immediately for Betsy, takes him down. Perkz was locked up in stasis for just a sec. Trick able to make it out alive. A whole lot of chaos in this river as Hybrid is caught between 4 members of Roccat, and all said and done, it's just a 1-for-1.
Yeah, 1-for-1, because Emperor was late to the party here. Some really interesting interactions that happened. Fantastic flash from Betsy. He did almost everything he could do once he got into that position. Was a little bit overextended. Got out, bought enough time for Kikis to swing around. Emperor was just really late to that collapse. 1-for-1.
Yep. We have seen some issues with Emperor not being where the team needs him to be, but let's take a look at how it all started.
So Betsy wants to get that wave into the tower, but Hybrid has the Q flash because if he combos, he gets flashed anyways, and then he has nothing to do. Here, the flash over from Airwax here on the red carpet. I think they could return to Trick a little more for some damage. They disengage. Keek is, Betsy's at this point, Betsy's dead. First gets stopped here by Extinct. And then it turns into a 1-for-1.
Yeah,
Hybrid goes a little low, but Freddy's right behind him, so he's gone. The Trick makes it out somehow.
Support from mid lane, though, still should favor G2 in the time being, and still they extend their gold lead just a little bit more on the map. Remember, it's 2 towers, just a 1 right now, but Roccat have a lot of options to be able to start knocking those down. Dragon will be up and available in about 1.5 minutes. So far, the only one in this game has gone over to G2. Probably not worth contesting, but that tower burn should make a bit of a difference for G2's Siege if they're able to pick it up.
Yeah, but the G2 are not looking to open the map up with Sieges, though. They want big team fights with a lot of CC, catch somebody off. Actually, not even team fights, they want picks. They want to find some lone stranger in the woods, looking to rotate to get some couple of units there for farm.
And Pow on
And then Pow, yeah. This is our time.
Yeah, beat it. Now Roccat trying to defend this mid tower yet again. So, G2 are just kind of roaming around the jungle, as you said, trying to look for little edges, but they're able to push here uncontested on this bottom side for just a moment.
Banner finished on Kikis, and look at the deep vision. They're putting deep vision with a purpose. The purpose is to enable Kikis on a side lane split push on his own, then they rotate somewhere else, get something done. So that's what they're doing. And that little pink ward that we saw Hybrid place there just under the enemy red buff, fantastic ward, because very rarely will people path over it. And right now we see some of the issues that a Malphite will have and why Nautilus rushes Banner in this matchup. Because if you've ever seen that video of the incredibly slow murder with the incredibly inefficient weapon, the guy running around with a spoon, this is the equivalent of it.
Oh, that's painful to watch. Poor Freddy. He's got the Sunfire Cape. That's helping with the rest
so
of them.
G2, we talked a little about punches and carrying weight. Roccat, not so much.
Thought, oh, okay, so Airwax has ended up using his equalizer just to clear out the wave here as it just kind of all things get reset. Perkz has been pinged out on the top side, but he's still causing pressure, and now you can see Tabs has to back.
Yeah, because
he has to back.
Kikis needs vision, so he doesn't get collapsed on, but Perkz, he can just so safely push out because of that Ice Claw. And the fact that he still has flash available. So he's just pushing without any wards, and he's just relying on the vision on the right side of the map to indicate who's there. If there's not too many people missing, then Perkz put pressure. So G2 using the few wards that they have to maximum benefit. And more importantly, they shadow the area behind the dragon so they can safely do it too.
This is the difference. The hallmark of the top teams utilizing that vision effectively most, if not all of the time. Roccat just aren't able to really do anything in answer. That second dragon goes over 18 minutes now on the game clock. And G2 just continue to keep the pressure up, pushing away, causing a lot of problems for Roccat to be able to answer and get anything else out of the map. They need to buy time. You see Tab's still only about halfway on his tier, stacking up, or a little bit more than that rather, but still going to be a while before he gets super effective with the Muramana. And the rest of the team really don't have a whole lot of battle stats.
Yeah, and then you see G2 base, and you see the most beautiful thing in the world. Well, 3/5 of it at least, 3 pink wards in the inventory.
I thought you were talking about the drop portal elements.
No, I
like that item.
I have a strong dislike for that item. I like Banner because Banner influences side lanes in... You need to make a choice, right? You put a Banner creep somewhere and you influence and manipulate waves. Banner is just an item out of which continuously minions flow endlessly. I like to see a wave being built up, you know, massive, and then crash into a tower, not just a repetitive stream of AI units. That's my opinion, though.
It's perfectly fine. I'm just an old Singed main, so I see that item, I just start rubbing my hands together evilly. So
Dirty
right
Sage
now,
Picker, the equivalent of the Dirty Cyan Picker in Season 1.
Yep, that's pretty much the same thing. Okay, the Rift Herald is going down. Last minute one here for G2 Esports. It wasn't going to be completely free because Airwax was intent on causing a little bit of mayhem in that pit, but Trick will be able to secure it. A little bit slow on the draw. Tab sends out the True Shot Barrage, but it does not find its true target.
And again. And again.
Oh, God.
And again.
We just not watch this.
No, this. Don't enjoy this. He's actually not doing any damage with it. All the damage is immediate. He gets the last 49 gold here.
There we go. That is completely worth. All right.
Imagine if after all that time you missed the cannon creep.
At that point, Freddy just like takes off his headset and just walks off.
It's like, I'm done, guys.
I can't play this game
I put my
anymore.
ZZ Rod portal down. I'm going to take a coffee break. Hang on here, though.
It'll
Perks.
still be there, though. Perks is caught, and he's getting charbroiled. Ice is not strong against fire, but Trick is there for backup, and there's the Frozen Tomb. Teleport coming in. Airwax days might be numbered. The Malphite, or rather the... Not
Tempered Fate.
And...
Pop up for Hybrid, that's dead Airwax. Collapse
Goodbye.
completely from G2. Perks thought about flashing defensively, then realized they could turn the play around. Mid lane though, it comes at the cost of a tower, so this is actually not that bad for Roccat.
Yeah, Roccat definitely need this gold in their pocket as well. This ROC portal set up in the brush, continually crashing in to that wave, and you're not getting any gold off of that one. Sorry, Tabs. Betsy does take that tower. So nice little edge on that play. The tower difference is now dead even, 2-2. G2 still holding the gold lead, and they're continuing the siege. They're not letting the pressure up, but they're not able to get any autos on it, just letting the minions do the job.
They just want those ZZ minions to get into the tower, deal some damage. The war split push is hitting critical mass. I always loved split push as a concept. It's one of the few things that completely annihilated my our teams in the history, but this is taking a little bit too far.
And it's another slow kill, but this time it's the Strop portal, so Freddy has found an enemy he can't match.
It. Death to ZZ.
And he has his own as well. So we'll see a lot of little void bugs continue to push back and forth against each other this game. G2 have decided to move their forces a little bit more towards the middle and the bottom side of the map. Still, a lot to try and open up here. Still that mid turret stand for Roccat. They're trying to keep this one defended as best as possible. With so many members here, there's nothing else to take on the map because Baron is still an afterthought for most of these teams. It's only 21 minutes and no one has a massive advantage. And no one wants to give up that lead.
So annoying to play Alistar into Rumble because you never want to ulti for non-burst damage, but he'll just like cook you alive though in that mid lane.
Speaking of burst damage, 3 G2 members just absolutely collapsed onto Betsy. Didn't even get a chance to use his summoners there, as they were a little bit preoccupied trying to cook hybrids behind.
He gets zoned.
Yep.
No portal.
A couple of shots of damage there, but he's got the shield up, sending the Riptide on, and now the Unstoppable Force knocks up him and a cow, and Kikis is melted down. Colin comes out for Emperor, but he only finds a little bit of damage onto Extinct. Hybrid might be the next one on the menu. Teleport coming in. Trick with the defense, safeguarded in. Freddy, he's given up on this one. Tab, he's locked up. Perks takes him out. Frozen Tomb, and a little bit too late on the draw with Extinct's Tempered Fate. That means Freddy's gonna fall. It is all said and done, a 2-for-1.
Yeah, Perks comes in with massive amounts of damage there to swing that fight completely. Extinct didn't manage to lock him down with that Tempered Fate. Couldn't stop him from coming in. Snooks completely turns around that fight. Good re-engage from Roccat, but again, they bought into their own play too much. Didn't account for the fact that Perks could enter that fight with his Ice Claw available, and they paid the price.
Yeah, Perks definitely showing up once again with Lissandra. He's got all the buffs in his pocket. 2-0-3 on that champion, and he has just made such a massive impact in the European LCS. On a wide variety of champions. He was one of the first to do this Corki mid play. And before that, we were looking at all of his assassins. Now on this Lissandra.
Yeah, he almost
big moves.
Almost has to be rookie of the split.
Yeah.
It's early to tell, but fantastic. Let's watch this again. So, Betsy gets caught. Let's see it. Oh my god, that was a really beautiful dredge line here from Kikis. Completely snipes Betsy. Big ends up using the kick for that, so that means that when he finds later on, he can't. This turnaround is good too. Kikis overextends. Once dredge line misses, you have to be careful. Now we see a really good Rumble ulti. Good slow from Extinct. So far so good for Roccat. They realize they can turn, two-man balance ulti, but everything has been used. Malphite, Ezreal, Rumble ulti all go down, and they overchase into an Alistar support. And then here's Perkovic. He comes in. No Bard ulti to stop him, because you can time Bard ulti on a teleport. We'll get into that later. Betsy's dead again.
Oh, once again before we can even get to it. Now Airwax is pinballed around. G2 grabbing themselves another 2 quick kills while Extinct was already down and immediately pinging on for the Baron. There's no way Roccat can stop
Yeah,
it.
it's going downhill here, Pyra. Overall, G2 find another engage. And yeah, the only way out of that play earlier was the perfect Temper Fade. Right as teleport lands, it is a counter to Lissandra. TPing in because she can't Ice Claw and chase, but Extinct wasn't quite ready for that play. Roccat wasn't quite ready for that play. We weren't ready for that play. We have no clue what happened, but in the end, all that matters is that G2 take Baron.
Tabs once again slow on the True Shot barrage. Comes in just a little bit too late for what would have been a miracle steal attempt, but it's only Emperor who can seem to pull those kinds of things off on Ezreal. For Roccat now, they just keep getting jumped very quickly, without any time to react. We talked about Extinct. I know you put him on the spotlight saying, hey, if there's a time he can impress, it's this one. He just hasn't shown up yet again. We're seeing that his reactions on this bar just aren't good enough.
Yeah, and such a champion that requires so much gameplay. If you look over like over to NA, Matt on Team Liquid, fantastic bar player overall, but he's played in a lot of games here. Let's see what happened here again. So Extinct cut out initially. Portal's very small distance. He's still in range. He starts juking before Trick comes out of the gravity field too. Like the awareness here, he wasted space and units to juke on a champion that was locked into a gravity field. Betsy is looking to help his teammate, but kind of pays the price for it too, and it all starts falling down. Roccat trying to help each other, but there are some times where you just gotta watch him die.
Another card objective for G2 too, and they pulled in Freddy. Another dredge line. Kikis has just been nailing these, and he's got to use the ultimate defensively. Now the Tempered Fate comes out for Extinct, and it hits nobody. Perks is juking around in the mid lane. It is unraveling very quickly for Roccat.
Yeah, a bit of a panic ulti from Freddy too. G2 wasn't even going for him. They kind of ignored him, went for the minion wave, so... Ooh, and without that one tank hard engage, look at the remaining part of Rocket's composition. If you take out the Malphite ultimate, what do they have left? 4 squishy members that all can get hooked by Kikis. He has his pick of the litter right now, and Perks can re-engage whenever he wants.
We talked about that wombo combo, but it just hasn't materialized. Point blank setting up the Zerat portal, and that tower is just getting eaten away at, chewed on. Roccat trying to desperately hold on and defend this as the base is about to get blown wide open here. Still no Malphite ultimate for a little while. The coin comes out for Emperor, and it eats Airwax eats it for just a second. They pull in Freddy.
You'll see an equalizer.
There's the equalizer. It's only going to connect onto Hybrid, and that's on the back half of his. Perk is in the backside, causing havoc here. Looking for Freddy, looking for Betsy. Who are they going to get? Perk's in the Chaos Storm, but he gets the Zhonya's down. And now Tabs is pinballed in. They pull him in. That's a double kill for Hybrid, and another for Perks. This is just going absolutely wrong for Roccat. Only Betsy here to defend it, and at 26 minutes into this game, G2 are looking to end it.
Yeah, what a completely decisive push here from G2 overall. One tower goes down, the next one goes down, next is on the board. G2 win the game.
Heartbreaking loss for them yesterday, but they have managed to resound back. It's 26, almost 27 minutes, and G2 Esports have cleanly taken out Roccat.
And Perkovic, really good to engage there at the end. Goes in, doesn't self-cast ulti. Zhonya's buys time, and yeah, defeated Roccat.
What can you do at this point? You're 2 wins in the split, and you've got a bevy of tough opponents going forward.
Maybe next time.
But for G2, they can be very happy, very confident win. They've got Elements and Origin next week. And they actually face quite a mix of up and down across the table. And they are in very good position to contend for those top spots in the European LCS. Still member of that top 4 squad.
Yeah, but like looking at the start of the split, expectations for G2 versus reality, completely different. Expectations for Roccat, sadly, not so different. They were a team to very late announce a roster that wasn't filled with star players that were looking for a second chance. Freddy, you know, from SK, Edward, from the fallen apart Gambit lineup. Betsy got his second chance, proved himself. Airwax, together with Betsy, were a threesome duo, but this time they didn't have any hard CC in their combination. G2 took advantage. Unrelenting pressure in the mid lane from Perks.
Yeah, and
push, base, teleport back, push. That allows Trick to do whatever he wants, and then they set up the dives wherever they want to go. G2, for the majority of the game, were in absolute control.
Yeah, and even though we talked about how Roccat could draft a pretty wombo combo of a comp, they just never executed on it. We're seeing this disconnect with them, just not able to do what they needed to do.
I mean, the power or the counter to a wombo comp is don't group up. And if you don't have any side lane pressure or you don't have any individual zone, then obviously nobody's going to clump together. In an ideal world, you have that 5-man ultimate, but unless you start portaling to get to the side, or you can really herd the sheep into a corner and then kill them all at once.
Yeah, and they weren't able to ever do it.
Can't really
we saw 2, maybe 3-man knockups, but there was always the defense. You saw Roccat over pushing, and then Perks did Perks things, and that was pretty much all she wrote in that mid lane. Really good use of this ROC portal as well in the banner of command. I mean, great use on the Nautilus. We've seen it up and down here, but this time when you're ahead, you stay ahead.
I like the adaptation of going just banner rush versus the Malphite because he's such a hard time killing.
He can't clap the big
He's constantly hitting that little
It was
minions.
painful, man, but we're going to send it to the analyst desk way to close that one out.
That's mine?
Thank you so much, guys. Hurdling sheep into a corner and killing them all.
Yeah, Crepo is a bit insane.
Yeah.
Let's look at the game instead.
Let's look at the game and then what we'd expected going in if we discount what happened yesterday. G2 should have been the stronger team in this matchup, and they showed it on every field. However, Roccat didn't just go down like I was going to say meek sheep. A sheep?
Like
once
sheep?
Again. They're a sheep. I don't know. Please talk about the game.
Yeah, well, so the game, we looked at it. Double teleport coming in for G2.
Yeah.
Pushing mid laner, that's always step 1 for them for perks. Jungler who can invade and play aggressive early on, that's always step 2 for G2, so the Lee Sin pick in this case. And it was just such a standard G2 game. Push every lane, especially the mid lane first. Trick can invade, he can make the big plays, and then you 1-3-1 after. It's honestly just a simple game for G2 to win.
Let's take a look at some of the replays because Roccat did try to do something at least, but it doesn't work when G2 is this far ahead and when they're playing the way they are.
So, fight in mid lane, Capo shot. If you play against 1-3-1 with double TP, what is the only thing you can do?
Yeah, like that, they have to fight, but if the mid lane gets caught, then it's really hard because they basically lose a 4v5 knowing Lissandra is pressuring bot right now. And they just want to scale a bit more, I think. Like on Israel, he doesn't have his items. I don't think he has Muramana yet.
Yeah.
And they're just going to lose mid-tour. They can rotate to bot later on, so it's really bad for them.
And it's, I mean, there's a story, of the game for Roccat. When they had a small chance to do something like what the comp wanted to do, it was pure teamfight comp from Roccat. You know, Victor, Ezreal, Malphite is just like grouped together, hard engaged teamfight. This disengage away from perks was absolutely beautiful, but this was basically all Roccat could do, but they lost the mid laner instantly. So again, something goes wrong, and then what was supposed to be the correct play is not the correct play.
And you look at that where the Bard ultimate was used later on into the fight, they weren't trying to set up any fights or any situations like that a little bit earlier with that Bard ult. Just a comp that had a lot of pieces that should come together that weren't always there, whether it was that they couldn't or whether it was that the timing just wasn't right. Just Roccat could never really get it at the right times in that game for themselves.
What do you make of Rumble in the jungle? 0-2 here in Europe so far. Also, in this case for Roccat, when you know you might want to be in a position that you have to force fights, and you know that the Rumble, okay, he clears really fast in the beginning, but he can't force the same things.
No, he's a team fighting pick. And he's team fighting, and then he's like counter ganking basically. He's not really looking to duel the enemy jungler too often. That's more like a Nidalee pick in that case. So I think it's okay if you are able to play a bit more passive in the early game and let him farm and get to team fights. But I think that's very difficult to do. And I think that's why we also see him lose some of these games, and especially for a team like Roccat. I don't think it's the correct pick, because I think you need something that can put Airwax on a more aggressive early game jungler, so you can kind of match what Trick is doing.
Yeah, and even more, I think, when they're like, I think all of their lanes were kind of passive and had to scale, like Malphite, Ezreal bot. Even though they have the bot counter pick to Alistar, it's like not enough pressure on the map, and Lee Sin can just do whatever he wants early on. That's why it was really easy for them to set up the TP play bot to just like, we're not gonna let you guys scale, and we're just gonna perma pressure, and at some point, like, you won't do anything to us.
In general, what do you think of Rumble as a pick in the jungle?
I saw it a couple of times. I don't think it's that good because it's a pick that will need his lanes to be pressuring for him to scale. But on the other hand, if you play against a jungle that's gonna pressure and like a lane as well, you're gonna lose 2v2 I think early on. So I don't think it's that good. Yeah.
Not convinced, and in this one it didn't work out for Roccat. G2 went away with the win, and with just 3 weeks left in the summer split, it's going fast. Things are starting to shake out here in Berlin. There are 3 teams tied in the top spot for now: G2, H2K, and Vitality. The Unicorns of Love are dropping down the 4th, and then there's a gap between the top 6 and the bottom that is growing. Well, there, Vitality still in the #1 spot, and I want to commend you guys on just a fantastic 2 weeks. 4 no-doubts for these 2 weeks. Where do you feel things have leveled up the most, that you guys are now into a higher gear?
I think we play, like, we're able not to play only one style. I think we're like really strong in lane swap. We know it's pretty much you have a plan in lane swap to follow, and if A situation happens, then you need to do B, let's say. And we know that's pretty well, so we know to like rotate properly, and then we have like really strong players, I think, on every role, so we're doing good.
Yeah. Of course. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I also really like that you're bringing a different style than a lot of the other teams. A lot of different compositions in picks and bans. A lot less simple to predict than some of our other teams that we've seen.
Yeah, of course you got to be able to run with it. You worked with Sean's over in Gambit as well. How much has that helped, that you knew him before and you knew what he could do, and now he brings it to Vitality?
A lot, I guess, since like I'm with him for like almost 1 year now. I know what he wants to do and what he's like gonna do in the team environment, so I'm happy with what he brings. That's why we're still together.
What kind of coach is he? You know, is he a tough coach? Is he your best friend or something? Like, what kind of coach is Sean's?
In the game environment, he's gonna be strict. I think he's not gonna be the friendly guy, but like outside, yeah, I guess. But we're gonna have like a strict, let's say, pick and ban, and he's gonna do most of that to help us, and then we're just gonna play our game.
Yeah, we'll find out a bit more next week. We'll have Coaches Week, so we'll have a lot of them on the desk.
Great
and we
little
can
plug
talk a lot
there.
about it. Yeah, indeed. Today you guys played for the Unicorns of Love. A question that we kept asking ourselves, and we commended them in the beginning of the year, was, hey, the Unicorns of Love do look different. They have a macro strategy. They have a plan. I feel like it's crumbling a tiny bit, even though they did go 1-1. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Unicorns became their third best team in Europe for a few weeks. But we never really felt like they were the third best team in Europe. And it was almost meant to go wrong in a way. And I think it's wrong to say in that sense. It's kind of harsh to say. But it's not they're stopping the improvement. I think it's just going a little bit slower than what Vitality showed, than what G2, because they came in at such a high level. It's still enough for Unicorns to look better than Origin and Fnatic. So that's still a great thing. And they are like a well-deserved fourth place team right now in Europe. I just don't feel like they are improving as fast as the teams above them. They had some changes, you know, jungle changes in and out, and maybe they just got a good base starting the split. And then now it's been hard for them to kind of build onto it.
You, of course, played with Diamond a lot. Do you think if he was back in the lineup, that would solve a lot of the tiny issues or bigger issues that are coming up now?
I don't know. He's better than Rudy, so I guess you can say that. Like there is the Nidalee meta kind of, and he was playing it a lot in Gambit, so it may be good for him as well. I can't really say.
Yeah, what they still have, though, is really good individual players. What do you think of Chachi? He's someone that the Fisho really, really likes as a player.
He's good. Chachi is so good.
Yeah, I think he's good indeed. Like he's gonna know when to pressure and when like he's gonna have to play a tank. Let's say when to like come from behind. I think the Rise nerf hurts him a bit. Like we banned Poppy, for example, today, and he's mostly playing tanks. Like they like to put AP top like with a Rise, and then they go Z mid. I don't think they can do that as much anymore because Rise is pretty much dead right now. So we're gonna see moving forward or what's gonna change.
Who of the top laners in Europe is the best resistant to meta changes, and who is the best to deal with it?
Besides me.
Well, obviously you yourself can be an answer, of course. Yeah. And how do you feel that you do when metas change?
I think I do well when meta shifts. Like we didn't prove that much me playing tanks right now, but it's something we can play, even if. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playoff as well. Like we see when Kokmo is really strong right now. So sometimes you're just gonna have to play the Lulu and have a W and E on AD carry, and that's pretty much what you're gonna do all game. But sometimes you have to play more pressure style with Fiora Graves. Sometimes more tanky style. So it's pretty diverse right now indeed.
Yeah, it is. Looking at some other teams, Fnatic, we mentioned them already. Their top laner hasn't been doing that well today. He picked up the Maokai. Of course, we don't know what goes into that decision of a team. But what the story has been for us is that they haven't been able to improve.
No, Fnatic has been a very inconsistent team, and I think it's something you Stress also talk very often about.
Yeah, exactly. This Fnatic lineup. Today was the weirdest game for Fnatic overall, because this is a game they should have won. We've spoken time and time again how we've got this clear divide, and they don't just lose to Splice. They got torn apart by Splice. No kills for Fnatic at all in that game, and I'm actually super happy to see Wonderwear have a good game, because I've casted a number of games and said, look, Wonderwear's just not performing. He's not doing well, and we actually saw...
We called him Godware here on the desk.
We actually saw
a good last game. That was a sick last game.
It was a really good game, and it's the same. We saw two players actually step up significantly that we've been saying for a couple of weeks now aren't doing so good. Wonderwear and then Xpeppy from Giants. They actually had a good week for both of them. So I'm happy to see the improvements have been made, but man, it's just a rough week if you're a Fnatic fan.
To reiterate that, this week, Fnatic... Oh, well, we're going to look at some Giants UL. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, hey, Giants, they picked up a win, so super good for them to get that down the bottom, especially also because Splice is winning, so you gotta follow the other teams there to get out of that relegation zone. But also just with this whole Fnatic talk and Unicorns of Love and so on, I think Fnatic and Unicorns are in somewhat the same boat. In the improvement is very slow. I actually don't even feel like we see that Fnatic improvement always from week to week. Now they've changed support. And where Unicorns came in with better groundwork, that was kind of set. The macro game was working a lot better. Fnatic has been super hit and miss all split long. Are they tough to play against, or is it fairly simple?
I'm not gonna say it's simple. I think they played better in scrims because we scrimmed them quite a lot than what they've shown this week. But yeah, they still have a lot of work to do. And if you compare to OL, I think it's easier in current meta to change your support, your jungler, than to change your support. I guess it's still dependent on the players, but most of the time the support is gonna guide the jungler more than the opposite. So maybe that's why OL is like still doing better than Fnatic is.
And H2K changed up their mid laner and now got him back. We see some growing pains though there. What did you make of H2K's performance back with Ryu?
I feel like it was the absence of practice for a couple of weeks now for H2K. We're still seeing the shades of what made them good. Yesterday's game against Vitality, that was a nail biter and came down to just pure team fighting in general. So I'm not too worried for H2K from some of the mistakes they showed. I think with time again, they'll be back on their top form. When we saw them coming into the split, we were like, man, this team looks so good. And I think they'll get back to that point. But they had a pretty decent week. I think even with yesterday's loss, I wouldn't be too worried for H2K.
No, they lost versus Vitality in the end, so yeah. OG, on the other hand, when we talk about teams like Fnatic, like OG, the ones that did so well at the World Championship, not a good week. One thing that we really looked at was Sven. He had the worst week actually since week 1 for him. 7 deaths in this week alone, when he averaged 2.7. But I feel like that's more a symptom. Of course, here we saw that victory where Soa stepped up on Fiora, but in general, the feeling with OG is still not there.
No, it's much like Fnatic. They came in very hit and miss. Origin, we didn't feel like had a whole lot of excuses, but they were talking, about lack of practice and whatever. But we keep hyping up Sven as like, this is the shining light on this team. And when he then underperforms like in a week like this, it looks very difficult for Origin the way they're playing, and they obviously had to rely on a good performance from Source yesterday. So he's also going to look back, I'm sure, at this week, and he's going to be super disappointed, Sven himself, and then try and fix it for next week.
Is it time to start talking about the mid lane? We talked a lot about it the first couple of weeks. Do you think at this point that a change would do something, or do they need to fix things that go bigger than that, and it would be no use of just putting on the Band-Aid?
It's a big question. I mean, we don't know if Pekka is ready to step in, potentially, even if it was needed to actually fill the mid lane role. Let's say he was. I think Power of Evil is doing some good things, but then he's also doing some really bad things at the same time. Like, he's holding on to his flash a lot, a bit like your AD carry sometimes in the mid lane against hard engage. And I know he hates the question about his champion pool, but it's something when we are looking at it, like, he took 2 or 3 weeks longer to play Corki mid lane. We haven't seen like Gangplank mid lane from him. Nukedog plays a fantastic Gangplank. He's playing Corki. Like, how much freedom does it give you guys in pick and ban phase that he can pick all these champions and also like a zillion?
Yeah, I think it's really important. Like, not only in the top lane, actually, you can play a lot of champions. Mid is as well like very diverse. But I think for OG to change their mid lane right now, like if they had to change, I think it would be the last moment because the playoff come quite soon, I would say. And if you like would be changing someone in week 8 or 9, then you will be like in a bad spot for playoff, I suppose.
I think they're gonna keep him, and they should keep Power Evil. Keep working, because he might not have looked as good as he did last year just yet, but that's also because the team around him isn't working well. So I think it's more fix the entire team than in the individual players that you are like talking about benching him or anything. I don't think they're going to do that.
And I think one of the places he really struggles with is that team dynamic and who's carrying. We saw the article from Crepo earlier this week about gold resources and who's getting the amount of resources in the game, and it's Sven that's getting them on Origin. And for Power of Evil to go from the Unicorns, where it was all about him last year, now to he has to play somewhat of a backseat role at times. I don't know whether it's just that he's not used to not getting the resources, or he's not comfortable playing on a style where the AD carry is the primary carry of a team. Something just isn't gelling, and for a couple of weeks we were like, yes, he's playing utility, that's fine, but we saw the Varus this week. He did an okay job. Origin did win that game, but it wasn't on his back. I don't feel like any of the wins that Origin have been because of Power of Evil.
Yeah, a team that we were also looking at the mid laner specifically to get out wins was Giants and Pepinero. And actually, he's had a really good week. I'd say probably his best week yet.
Yeah, and also why Giants look better. Almost won yesterday, took a win today. A lot of it is on Pepe, but one of the problems in Europe is if your best player is the mid laner, there tend to be 5, 6, 7 other mid laners who are equally as good or maybe even better, because we are so stacked. Like, look at just the top teams. Rio is doing really well. Nukedog, Perks, like these guys, they don't have any issues playing against Pepe. So he's not able to pull off these single victories against them. And it's more again on Giants then. to find other ways to win games. But today and even yesterday, Pepe did have a good showing.
Yeah, and the Giants are booking a couple of wins, and Quickshot actually earlier caught up with Godfred for some insight into the mentality of Giants at this moment.
I can't ignore the fact that you guys lost the first 8 games of the split. It was a tough start to 2016. Give me some insight into why you guys were struggling to put results on the board, or why you were losing so many games.
It's kind of a hard question, you know. We're still trying to figure stuff out, to know what we do wrong and improve that. And especially if you go 0-8, you know, the mood is not the best and people are frustrated. You know, everyone wants to improve as much as possible. It's like, it's every component almost. We were kind of a new team. We didn't have like a personality as a team together, so we didn't really know how we should play to our strengths, what players are comfortable on. Like, we have players that haven't played LCS before and stuff like that. I think it takes time to ease into the kind of LCS, how you play on the stage. Like, everything is new. But it's a really hard question, as I said, so we're still trying to figure stuff out.
Well, it seems like you guys are making some improvements. 2 wins, obviously, you know, in consecutive weeks. Just one last question. Godfred, I'd like to know, earlier Adri had said that Giants as a team are now not looking to make playoffs. It's a difficult situation at 2-10. And he'd mentioned you're just looking to get as ready as you can for promo relegation. Is that something that you've talked about as a team, or is that something that Adri is thinking about, and it's kind of the, you know, the elephant in the room?
I don't think it's an elephant in the room, really. Like, everyone is aware of the fact that if we don't make playoffs, we will play the relegation tournament. And it's just a reality, you know. You have to be as good as possible. Like, we get the best training that we can get in the LCS against the best teams. So if we just keep improving and like play as a team and just work ourselves up, I think we should be fine in the relegation tournament.
Well, best of luck for that one, and best of luck for the rest of the split.
Well then, summarizing what he said, we feel like we still have to ease into everything. A lot of changes are made, and yes, we get a lot of practice now against top teams. This is an organization that's now been in the LCS for a longer time, and 2 years running, and made playoffs. What do you take away from that? Is that enough, Stress?
The thing I take away from everything about Giants is that they're running out of so much time. There's so little time left before the actual promotions, and they're talking about how they're not too sure exactly where their problems are, of where they've got to fix them. It's at this point that support staff is critical. Whether it's analysts, coaches, everything behind the scenes, you've got to find out the way you want to play the game, the way that works to play the game for your team right now. Because if you don't, there are challenger teams that are looking pretty good. That, you know, the likes of Millennium, apart from this week, we've seen Inspire having a game plan coming into games, and they can take down teams potentially that don't have any kind of set plan. If they're just kind of going into a game being like, we don't know what our look and feel for team is, it's potential they can lose that spot.
Yeah, I think it's very concerning when a team in week 6 now, coming into week 7, are still saying we don't really know what the issues are. Because you now had so many weeks, so many games to look back at. And I feel like when you're struggling like week 1 and week 2, it's okay. And you want to get a bit of time to improve some of these things. But like, yeah, time is running out. You can no longer say we don't know what to fix. By now you should say, oh, our shot calling is bad. Or maybe our pick and ban phase is wrong. And like, that's what we need to work on. And that's concerning to me, that it's still, what exactly do we need to work on?
For you guys, you also, I think it was Kasing that said we are getting better, and you guys didn't get off to a fantastic start all the way in week 1. In week 2, you were still rolling. How does that process go? Is it together with your coaching staff, it says, okay, this, and this has to change? Or how does that work?
Yeah, pretty much. I think like early weeks, we had either games that were winning but not clean. Like Origin games, we win because like Shrook makes a good play or something, but that's not really a win because like, sure, at the end of the day, you got the win, but what's important is becoming good and be able to do it over and over again. So like lately, let's say last 2 weeks, we're just playing more clean games. So it's about like mainly rotationing properly and be able to like play lane swap really well, I suppose.
Yeah, and you have a 4-0 in the last 2 weeks. Enough questions for us. We also asked the people to send in questions for you, Cabo Shard. And here's one from @PerksLol. How would you rate yourself amongst other 80 carries in Europe?
So I think I can't be the very best because I have a bit of forgiven syndrome playing only a few champs. But otherwise, I think I'm good AD carry in Europe, yeah.
Top 3?
Top 3 indeed.
Okay.
Three. I mean, it's also interesting that you can play AD carries top lane now. I feel like this is a good year for you meta-wise. You can basically do all the things and enable your team to do things. Okay, you had to play Lulu today, but how do you feel in the meta at the moment?
Yeah, the meta is pretty cool. Like, even though if we're seeing more tanks come back, then like I actually feel like, compared to the Maokai meta when it was really good, that you have a way to play against it and to pressure somewhat.
Here's some highlights.
We've seen your Graves quite a few times,
Yep.
which has been pretty badass. What do you like about Graves so much?
I actually love the rework on Graves. I think the shotgun mechanic, like being able to, if you're melee range, like closer or not closer, is like not understood by everyone, and then some people are gonna come that close to you, or you're gonna come close to them and like kill them basically.
Yeah.
The damage is really insane. That champion, and you just build AD, so.
And a smoke screen. So it's secret OP. Not really secret.
Game-winning smoke screen.
Not really secret OP. Another question from @Hancax asks, what is the most efficient champion for split pushing top lane?
Maokai.
So, you wanna go on Maokai?
Oh, sorry,
or?
I'm not cover shot.
Okay.
You go.
I think well, like the best are gonna be something like Fiora first, because it's just like, well, it's called the duelist for a reason, and once you're gonna like have some items, you're just gonna be able to win basically every 1v1. If you fall a bit behind and maybe build some QSS, it can be annoying, but the champion scales really well, and you can team fight if you build Titanic, or just split push if you build Revenue Sidram. Then you can split push with AD carries like Graves or Lucian, pressuring the tower really hard. And like you just have to manage properly the pressure. Like when your team is gonna pressure and you have the vision enemies, let's say you're 1v1, then you can pressure, then someone is gonna come to you, you tell your team to play 4v3, etc. So it's a process you have to learn and experiment. And then you kind of can split push with tanks, building Zizirot and stuff, but it's lame.
Lame. That's not their cover shot style. What's an underrated split pusher for solo queue for everyone out there?
Lucian.
Lucian?
Okay.
Okay, wow, we're gonna see Lucian top lane split
I
pushers.
thought we were getting like Tryndamere there or something like that.
But he's not underrated. Right?
Yeah, true,
Everyone
true.
likes Tryndamere.
Hey, you don't see it in the LCS? No, it's...
Yeah. What about the Vayne top? What is it?
Vayne top, is that a thing for the AD carry main?
It's coming, yeah.
It's coming.
Wow.
Okay.
Spoilers.
Exclusive
Shots
preview.
ahead of the curve. there
Amazing.
as
Yeah,
well. Like,
obviously.
wow.
Not because it was played before. You talk about being behind. We have here a question from @Mr. Nano says, if you're behind in the top lane, what do you do to come back and help your team?
So once again, it's gonna depend on the champion you play. If you play a Malphite or something, it's mostly fine to fall behind, and you're gonna either try to scale or try to help your other lane. With you can play it the other way around as well. Let's say the Malphite wants to TP to your bot lane. You tell them to play properly around it. Like they're just gonna maybe engage. The enemy is gonna be like, okay, they're engaging on us. We have TP advantage. Malphite TPs in. You back off, and if Graves like. You basically 3-shot the tower, so you can abuse very like hard if the enemy misplays and pressure very hard.
I thought we ran you to the tweets, and I thought you were going to say I never fall behind then. But
Damn, he got off script here.
yeah, he went off the script.
Bad.
That's not allowed.
No,
We're
that's
going to
not-
have to throw it
Please,
over to
read
Quick
this here,
Shot.
read this.
Yeah.
I never fall behind.
Good, there we go. There we
Trevor,
go.
take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. Cabo doesn't fall behind. Unfortunately, I do. And I fall behind in fantasy a lot, so it's with bittersweet information. I tell you, Jankos is your fantasy MVP for week 6. He got 5 kills, he got 13 assists. Deficio is clapping and raising his hands because not only am I playing against Deficio, he's on Deficio's team. 33 fantasy points. I officially resign from #FantasyLCS because I'm losing again. Congratulations to everybody out there that's got them on your team. I want to talk about the OP5 because when it comes to the big leagues, there's more than just the numbers to take a look in, and these 5 players showed up in week 6. Starting with your fantasy MVP, Jankos. He went 5, 1, and 13. He had 100% kill participation versus OG. And as a team, H2K have secured 8 first bloods. All of them, Jankos has been involved in. The 2 he's been involved in, he's even given up. So 10 out of 12 games. Next up, I want to talk about a mid laner, somebody who's rewinding time yesterday, and Bird was the word today. It is Nukeduck. He's great in lane. +9 CSD, doing very, very well as far as the game is concerned, and really showing a consistent level of play that we've not seen from him for a while. Next player that was stepped up this week is going to be Xpeppy from Giants, 14 kills, the most of any player in the European LCS this week. His Lux yesterday was fantastic. He's found his barrels today. Fourth player on the list is somebody we've not seen on the OP5 yet. It is Wonderwear. He had great CSD. This is something we've talked about a lot. Splice give him all of that mid-game farm. 9.7 CS per minute as a top laner. He went unkilled against Fnatic and helped Splice be the second team to pick up a victory against the top 6. And finally is a man that everybody who has felt his sting this week, it is Cabo Shard, the man with the mouth who never falls behind. 93% kill participation as a top laner. I mean, I think it's fair to say, Cabo, that Vitality, they don't win without you on the front line, my man.
Well, I'm playing Lulu and just doubling my AD carry again.
I try to set you up. I try to make you look good, yeah.
No, but it's actually been a couple of weeks running. You were MVP last week as well. Obviously, we know from your Gamma times you've always been a very good player, but do you feel somehow that you've gone even or gone above and beyond because of the team situation now?
I think so, yes. Like in Gambit, I was playing good, but I was thrown even more resources for me not to fail, kind of. Like it was... I wouldn't say it was hard for me to fail, but I was getting a lot still. And right now we are learning more to play either away from me, either like I have to play with a jungler because sometimes it's just not the best. And I think that's where I've improved the most, yeah.
Yeah. All we've ever said the whole thing is just Shook is like attached to cover.
Yeah, is Shook carrying you? Or
What?
is Shook carrying you every game?
No, it's not.
Wow.
Only some games. I have the games he carries me, and the other half I carry him.
All right. I mean, that
Fine,
works.
that makes sense.
That works.
I like
That gets you in the OP. However, thank you, Quickshot, for those OPs, but we still got to crown an MVP as well. And when we look at the 10 games as a whole, one player rally really stood out amongst all the rest. Carrying hardest was Vitality's once again. Kasing, who picked up 18 assists to KDA of 10 and 71% kill participation, helping to take his team to a 2-0 week. Of course, this season is the first time that you get the honor of playing with the Kasing effect. What can you tell us about him?
I think he's a really smart player, and today it was like really easy to play because we could go anywhere and he would eat us. So I'm happy to have him near me.
Not only that, but I love the way you guys were playing around the map. You had the Quinn from the middle lane, no TP, but it was Quinn turning up to a lane. Then in comes Tom Kench with the Cogmore, bring everybody in. You got the TP on Lulu. It was very clean, very crisp. I was really liking what Kasing was doing both days. The Bard for day one, the Tom Kench. I just saw actually just Vitality the last 2 weeks leveled up. It's really, really good to see.
Yeah, definitely. That's 3 players now in the OP. Wonderwear, of course, also in those OP. You mentioned it.
Hey, I mean, his game today was fantastic. He was way ahead of Gamsu, but also because Fnatic tried to make Gamsu a split pushing threat for some reason when he overextended. But then, like, their engages from the Nautilus, one thing is being tanky in the front line and just absorbing damage. He was catching carries and, like, locking them down so his team could kill them. Wonderwear had a great game.
He did.
What was that?
I was catching.
Oh, okay.
No? Okay.
Catch the pen.
Oh, my God.
Oh, there was 2 ways that went.
The action here in Berlin continues next Thursday at 6 p.m. Central European Time, 9 a.m. Pacific, as G2 Esports take on Elements. And later on, Fnatic will face H2K in our match of the week. Tough one, again, for Fnatic. I mean, they have a lot of thinking to do after this week, I think. And H2K and the level of macro play, whew, it's going to be hard. Kabashar, what do you think of that matchup?
Yeah, I think it's like if they want to prove that they are bouncing back and like going to be a real contender for playoff, I think it's going to be their match to win. So we'll see how much they improve next week.
Are they a real contender for playoff?
Right now, no.
Right now, no. All week long, we'll be talking to the coaches also next week of the European LCS for some behind-the-scenes insight into the fight for playoffs. So we're going to get to talk to Sean and see what it is that makes Vitality so good. And week 6 of the Spring Split picks up tomorrow as well across the Atlantic, where the North American LCS starts their Saturday with Energy versus Team Dignitas. Later that day, we'll see a rematch between TSM and Cloud9. And then on Sunday, it is their match of the week between Team Liquid and the undefeated Immortals. The studio lights up at 9 p.m. Central European Time, noon Pacific. Immortals, what's going to happen? Are they going to drop a single game this split?
Renegade is going to pull the upset on day 1 and beat them. That's my prediction.
What do you think?
I don't think they will go 18-0.
Why not?
Because Renegades are going to beat them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think the same.
All right.
I don't know. Huni and Rainover. Fnatic is struggling. Huni and Rainover have gone. They're doing well. Maybe it was the key all along. Conspiracy. Maybe.
It was singed all along. We will see. But for us, it's over here for covering the European LCS for this week. I'd like to thank you, Cabochard, for joining us here on the desk.
Thank you very much for having me there.
Yeah, and congratulations on a 2-0 week once again for all of you guys. We'll see you back here next week as we approach the home stretch of the 2016 Spring Split. Bye.
There is so much on the line for both of these teams, and they are pulling out all of the stops. Giants up against Elements. Coming in from Iker, the moves, and he's going to return the damage onto Pepe. He walks away from the tower, and Gilius is there to pick up the kill.
He's done. I got him. Chill us here. Nice. Graves is behind us. Graves.
Giants come up with a win against Elements.
Victor!
Nice.
I'm burning.
Yeah,
Keep chase.
Go. I can't.
I can even.
Let's go. I busted.
Yeah, he's done.
Nice.
Go Nash.
And Vitality pick up the win here against Unicorns of Love in an impressive show.
Nice. We can kick the ball. I'm going.
I'm super low. Tank edge. Front line.
Ari ult from behind. I can't do that.
And H2K take down Origin. What a game by H2K.
Remember, guys, your whole life lead up to this
No.
day.
Okay. Actually, let's talk. Yeah, Matt. Okay.
Everything you did in your life led up to this moment.
Yeah, you give like a huge speech, and then it's like enemy team pentakill.
Okay, let's go. This is nice.
Go. Nice.
Wonderwear just trying to do all the damage he can, and he manages to anchor him down. Spirit now clutching forward. Wonderwear's doing a whole ton of damage. Gatsu's going down.
Victor.
And they have just upset Fnatic. Perks in the Chaos Storm when he gets the Zhonya's down. And now Tabs is pinballed in. They pull him in. That's a double kill for Hybrid. And another for Perks. This is just going absolutely wrong for Roccat.
And G2 Esports have cleanly taken out Roccat.